Early summer 1924. It's been 3 days. Thomas thrust the door of the boot room closed and slammed Lady Grantham's shoes down onto the table. Then he bore down on Phyllis Baxter. "I need to know what you know of Lady Mary," he snarled, filling her field of vision. They were close, her and Branson. Thomas wanted to smash the bond if he could. But this time, Miss Baxter was ready to meet his domination with knowledge of her own, and she had no hesitation in using it. "You married a 16-year-old girl?" she asked, aghast. "I think it's an awful thing you did to her." Thomas stopped, not ready for this. But he did not move and remained fixed before her. "You ruined young girl's life?" She tried again, and there it was, the flicker Baxter knew of old. Emmeline, Thomas's sister, much older and almost ready to leave home when her brother's sensitivity was ruining the peace of the Barrows home, had told her friend Phyllis of Thomas's run-ins with local boys, and how he would cry, alone, but stand rigid and immobile, using every fibre of his being to hold his emotions together when confronted by their father. "It's a good job you know nothing about it," Thomas replied, then narrowed his eyes. "I will tell Lady Grantham this evening if I do not hear what I need to hear," he warned her. "But Baxter, if you like I already did," she told him, as convincingly as she could. "You're a liar," Thomas told her. "Try it," she challenged him, then took a step back to Thomas in return, looking him up and down, sadness clinging to her features for a moment. "Where is the young man I knew, honest, truthful, who would come into his house, happy and contented?" Baxter asked him, meanly. "Maud adored you, still adores you." Maud. Thomas repeated his sister's name. "Gone now, a French citizen, artist." Would he ever see her again? "This Miss Ashby," Baxter continued, "was it just her money you were after?" And it struck Thomas like a hammer blow. Was he no better than Tom Branson? He had benefited from her money, to some extent. But was he no better than a man who was claiming it from some ancient, phony law? Did Tom Branson care about Milo's welfare? He knew it was different, but it was finding the words to explain even in his own head that Thomas was finding difficult. "I know what it's like to be exploited," Baxter added. "I loved Peter, or I thought I did." She turned away, sweeping up Cora Crawley's shoes in the process. Thomas turned too, but then turned back. "No, Miss Baxter," he told her, hand crushing the door frame. "I do not, nor ever have, cared about me Lucina's money." And Thomas left Baxter alone then. He would never again ask her for information. 88,888,888 and Bates had spoken to him again a few days later, and asked him about Milo. They were walking in the grounds after a storm the night before, checking for damage with the rest of the male staff, and he and John Bates had taken a path together. Away from Branson, Thomas thought. Good. For finding himself face to face with the man, Thomas did not trust what he might do to him. "May I ask, Mr. Bates," Thomas asked him, "why were you so nasty to her when she was little?" "I don't mean this badly. I've always wondered." "Was it to do with your son?" Bates hesitated, resting against his stick, and waited until Thomas turned back on realizing he was not beside him. Thomas stopped and took a few steps back. "If I tell you, you will think I am a fool," Bates told him, glancing to the ground. Thomas shook his head. "No," he told him. "It is I who was a fool, not thinking she would grow up." It was still on Thomas's mind, how he had left it with Milo. "I have given her no credit for growing up, and being a responsible young lady." "It's understandable," Bates counseled him. "And, on this, I am on your side. What he did. It is abominable, unacceptable. Whatever plan you have to pay him out, I will stand beside you." Thomas looked up to the man's face, seeing his words play genuinely on his features. "It is much appreciated, Mr. Bates," Thomas admitted. "I see now that some of my motives for marrying her might not have been entirely honorable. When marrying, what man's intentions are?" Bates quipped, but then realized it was Thomas he was talking to, and fell silent. "But you love her, any fool can see that," he reassured him. "It doesn't have to be about desire. You made a commitment to her, and she to you. Many upper-class marriages have been based on far less." "Come on," said Thomas, let us find something to report. But this time it was Thomas who stood still when Bates moved on. John Bates turned. You never answered my question, Thomas told him. Bates rested his weight against his stick again and sighed, smiling faintly. Nothing gets past you, does it, Thomas Barrow? He told him. I certainly hope not, Thomas replied, and returned the faint smile. So, why were you too nasty to her? Bates huffed a smile. I was jealous, if you must know, Bates told him, of Milo. Thomas was aghast. Of all the people not to be jealous of, a mixed-up, difficult child who got in people's way. Jealous? How? John Bates gave a snort. I saw her, and I saw everything I was not, nor ever could be. She was given a childhood most children could only dream of. You know what I mean? Yes, Thomas agreed. I know what you mean. It is why I cared for Ernest, he added, exorcising his first lover's name into the air between them. He had a way to bring the absolute best out of her, he added. And she thrived. She thrived, Bates agreed. And I saw that, and I was jealous. With very little schooling at all, she managed to go to a university working with a household name of a physicist. Bates broke off, and looked away, shaking his head. The highest point in my life was to be selected by Lord Grantham to be his Batman. Bates, he told me after I saved his life, if ever you need fixing up, look me up. And, Bates shook his head, Miss Ashby has ... all the world ahead of her. You have Anna, Thomas pointed out. She has trials enough. The police just won't leave Green's death alone. I see it wear her down. No, Bates told him. Miss Ashby has done well, and I am pleased for her. And the box closed, and the gulf between Bates and Thomas began to crystallize again. But not before Thomas, against his better judgment, added, should you need me, in the Green situation, Mr. Bates, you can count on me. 88,888,888. What are you talking about? Asked Daisy. When she will come back, Thomas, was all I was asking. Daisy leaned against the table in the pantry, pausing in the act of cleaning down the shelves. The family were away for a week in London and several of the staff remained behind to do some of the once-in-a-while jobs. That included Thomas who, as under butler, was now being exploited by Carson and given the less glamorous jobs associated with the role. See, I had a letter off her, Daisy told him, pulling it out of her apron. I wanted to check what Miss Bunting was teaching me was, well, good, she told him. So I sent my work to Milo, and, well, she's replied. And is your work good? Thomas asked her. Daisy beamed and nodded. She said, and Daisy unfolded the letter and scanned the relevant lines. A better piece about the study of nature I have yet to read. And then a crease formed between Daisy's eyebrows. It means it's good, don't it? She asked of Thomas. He smiled. Yes, Daisy, he agreed. And she would know. Daisy's smile came back, and she stowed away her letter, and reached for more of the jars of pickles she had made in the autumn, some not yet begun. The family would use those in the summer season, garden parties and such like. So, I was thinking, Daisy continued, I want to show her everything, history, geography, writing. Thomas took the jars that Daisy was handing to him and put them onto the chair near the door. From a bowl of once scalding water, Daisy pulled a cloth and proceeded to wipe over the shelf. Can't Mr. Molesley help you with that? He asked. But, it's Milo, Daisy asked. I am so proud of her, what with being so clever. I like Mr. Molesley well enough, but, don't he go on? She dipped her head as if she has said something sacrilegious, and Miss Bunting is a very good teacher, but I don't like the way she argues with people. I thought if she was that clever, she would find a different way, almost like a trick. A trick? Thomas took the bowl from Daisy and handed her the cloth that she was using to wipe down the shelves. No, I don't mean a trick, Daisy said, wiping her brow with the back of her hand. Like ... when you use words, you know, like, to make people do things, to encourage them in your way of thinking. Thomas paused, thinking, and then asked, don't you believe in those things anymore? Workers' rights, and all. Daisy took hold of the jars of pickles back and lined them up on the shelf in use first date order, but stopped. "I do," she cautioned. "But I don't rightly know how to explain." "You're so good at it, Thomas," she added, plaintively. "Almost like the words are a magic spell," she added. "Once they have been said, people can't believe anything other than those, and can never believe what they thought in the first place." Thomas smiled, and nodded. He knew someone more masterful than he was. Blackett was a marvel at everything, including persuasion. God, why did Cambridge have to be so far from Downton? But there was something else. Something that made blood feel cold and his heart freeze inside his chest. It wasn't Daisy's fault, but it wasn't nice to have his manipulation shown back to him, as if looking into a mirror. "So, when she comes back, I want to show her," Daisy concluded. "She won't now," Thomas sighed. "Not after." "After what?" Daisy asked, frozen in the process of taking the last jar of bramble jelly. But when it was obvious Thomas wouldn't say, the undercook of Downton continued with her cleaning. "It's really sad." Then, she concluded, when she had finished the shelves, as Thomas, overseeing the cleaning of the horse brasses, watched her pass by. He turned, and caught her shoulder and she stopped. "I wonder whether, if you wrote and asked her, she would come back," he told her. Daisy looked startled. "Me? You are her friend, aren't you?" It would be good for Milo to be reminded she did have friends at Downton, and maybe that would encourage her to spend less time in the company of other friends. And then he let go of Daisy's shoulder, and looked down. There it was, as Daisy had clumsily tried to explain. Manipulation. It was such a part of him. "Well, she considers you her friend. And what else are friends for?"